Imagine this. You're sipping your morning coffee, the world's still half asleep, when a piercing screech of metal cables rips through the quiet. You glance out your window, and there's your neighbor, clipboard in hand, trying to tow what she's conveying said is a terrorist tank parked in your driveway. Except it's not. It's a bomb squad truck loaded with enough security tech to shut down the whole county. That's how my peaceful Tuesday morning turned into the wildest suburban showdown you've ever heard. Let me take you back to the start, because this story's got more twists than a thriller flick. My name's Jack Thompson, a bomb technician with 15 years under my belt, defusing everything from car bombs to chemical rigs. 3 weeks ago, I moved into this picture-perfect neighborhood. Think white picket fences, kids on bikes, and the smell of backyard barbecues. I figured I'd found my slice of suburban bliss. But then my job threw in a new rule. All on-call bomb techs had to park their response vehicles at home to shave seconds off emergency response times. Made sense when lives are on the line. You don't want to waste 20 minutes driving to the depot. My matte black armored truck with Bomb Squad in bold white letters came with me, backed by every official document you could imagine. Mayor's signature, sheriff's stamp, even Homeland Security's seal. But none of that mattered to Susan Carter. Susan was the neighborhood's self-appointed watchdog, the kind of person who'd measure your grass to ensure it met HOA standards. I first met her while hauling my trash bins to the curb. She zeroed in on my truck like a hawk, her eyes narrowing. "Is that Sawyer's saw?" she demanded, pointing like she'd spotted a UFO. I explained calmly. I swear that it was my assigned emergency vehicle, that I work for the state's response unit. She didn't buy it. "We'll see about that," she snapped, storming off like she owned the street. The next day, a red notice was taped to my mailbox, claiming my truck violated some made-up HOA rule about aesthetic harmony and scared kids. I checked the bylaws. No such rule existed. Susan was writing her own constitution. Her complaints piled up faster than junk mail. Loud tires, suspicious antennas, decals that supposedly caused resident anxiety. I started a file called Susan versus Sanity, just to keep track. My team at work thought it was hilarious, but the HOA board? Useless. They'd nod at Susan's rants during meetings, too scared to challenge her. When she showed up with photos of my truck labeled Neighborhood Threat in Comic Sans, I had to step outside to keep from laughing. This woman was turning our cul-de-sac into her personal conspiracy thriller, and I was the VY lane. Then came the morning that changed everything. I was eating oatmeal, watching a documentary on failed detonator slight breakfast, VY-ing for a bomb tech when I heard the grinding screech of a tow cable. My heart sank. I knew that sound. Trouble. I bolted outside in my pajama pants and a t-shirt that read EOD Tech, boots untied, and there was Susan, arms crossed, smirking like she'd just caught a criminal. A tow truck driver was hooking up my vehicle, and she was filming it all, narrating like a rogue news anchor. "This is a terrorist threat," she bellowed into her phone. "I'm executing a citizen's tow for our safety." I sprinted across the lawn, yelling, "Stop. That's a federal vehicle with security protocols." But Susan stepped in front of me, while VYing her clipboard like a shield. "You can't park death machines in a family neighborhood," she shrieked. I tried showing her my badge, explaining my job, but she shoved her clipboard in my face. Impersonating a federal agent is a soft felony saw. Can you believe it? I've defused bombs under bridges, but here I was arguing with a woman who thought I was a wannabe in a costume. That's when it went haywire. The tow truck tightened its hook, and a robotic voice blared from my vehicle. Security lockdown activated. Potential explosive threat detected. Evacuate immediately. Red lights spun, sirens wailed, and the words "Live Ordnance" flashed across the windshield. Susan's eyes widened like she'd seen a ghost. Neighbors dug behind trash cans or slammed their garage doors. The tow driver jumped back, nearly twisting his ankle. My truck's defenses kicked in, wheels locked, doors sealed, a high-voltage warning flashing. This wasn't just a mix-up anymore. This was a federal incident in suburbia. Susan, though, didn't flinch. She kept yelling about her national security arrest. Con VY said she'd saved the block from me. She'd already called the cops, expecting my perp walk. What she didn't know was that I'd alerted my super VY soar, who was tracking the truck sensors in real time. Within minutes, 2 unmarked SUVs rolled up. My commander stepped out, took one look at Susan's clipboard and flashing sirens, and sighed, "Not another HOA mess." Even with federal agents showing her official paperwork, Susan insisted we were all liars, demanding drug tests because normal people don't react that fast. The neighborhood buzzed like a kicked beehive. Videos of Susan's meltdown went viral, racking up 200,000 VYUs by lunch. TikTok dubbed her the suburban general. My old military buddies texted, joking I was famous for VYing a suburban ego explosion. But Susan? She saw the attention as proof she was right. She started wearing sunglasses everywhere, talking into a disconnected Bluetooth earpiece, and referring to herself as Susan Carter, CIVY Lean intelligence analyst. She even sent Homeland Security a letter complete with clip art seals and nonsense about mine beam antennas claiming my truck was a military conspiracy. They didn't take her seriously, but they did flag her for forging government seals. Things got darker when Susan Con VY said the HOA board I was a threat. At a meeting, she unveiled a PowerPoint called Operation Suburban Safety, claiming my truck's dashboard lights caused panic attacks. She handed out glossy pamphlets quoting a fake expert, Dr. Henry Walsh. When I explained my job and showed official documents, she screamed, "He's lying. This is the militarization of our streets." The board sat silent, too spineless to act. Then across the line, someone tampered with my truck's license plates, a federal offense. Agents showed up, chuckling that Susan had eaten the bakery and asked for seconds. She posted on the community Facebook group, claiming they'd come to arrest me. Worse, she filed a false report with the state, accusing me of storing live explosives in a residential area, career-killing lie. I call my old squad mate, Mike, who worked with the mayor's office. He'd faced war zones, but said HOAs were worse. Mike confronted Susan politely, but she called him a deep state pawn and demanded his badge number in triplicate. Susan declared herself HOA president after the real one bailed. Her plan? Ban all emergency vehicles unless approved by her SAW committee. At a meeting, a quiet guy named Carl stood up. "This is insane," he said. "I don't want to die in a fire because Susan hates truck decals." The room froze. Susan glared, hissing, "You'll regret siding with the truck." She'd started talking about my vehicle like it was alive, plotting to overthrow the local target. The tipping point was the mannequin incident. I had a training dummy in my truck, labeled inert in red. One evening, Susan broke into my vehicle, grabbed it, and sprinted down the street, screaming, "I've got the bomb. Evacuate." Neighbors' panicked, kids cried. A guy dove behind his car. She ran like she was in an action movie until Frank, a retired Marine, blocked her. "Ma'am, that's a mannequin," he said calmly. Susan shrieked, "He's with them," and collapsed in a sprinkler-soaked lawn, ranting about puppets. It was terrifying and a little hilarious. The police got involved again. Susan claimed my truck's frequencies caused her hallucinations. I requested their body cam footage for the inequity table trial or memoir. At the next HOA meeting, I handed the board a cease and desist order, citing harassment and tampering. Susan scoffed, pulling out a doctored photo of me under infrared VY shown as proof I'd scanned her house. She brought a legal strategist, a barista from her niece's theater group who quoted fake laws until security, a pool gay volunteer, escorted him out. Susan screamed about a coup. Half the board quit on the spot. While Susan played dictator, I worked with the city to reclassify my street as an emergency access zone, stripping the HOA's power over my truck. The city installed a sign overnight. Emergency access zone. Unauthorized action subject to federal penalty. Susan's meltdown yanking at the sign with gardening shears was caught on video. The HOA clubhouse was shuttered for misuse of power. A month later, a for sale sign appeared in Susan's yard. She was gone, replaced by a military family who planted a flag garden. Peace returned. Kids wave as they biked past my truck, still parked in the same spot. This whole mess taught me something deep. Susan could have knocked on my door and asked about the truck. Instead, she chose fear, building walls instead of bridges. Her paranoia didn't just push her from the truth, it pushed her from the community. We all face that choice daily. Understand or control, ask questions or assume the worst. Staying calm and letting truth outshine chaos was my biggest win. What do you think, was Susan a misguided hero or a reckless VY lane? Should HOAs have power over emergency workers? Have you faced a neighbor who let assumptions spiral out of control? Drop your story below, hit like if this hooked you, and subscribe for more tales of real-life chaos.